Hey, what's going on everyone? In today's video, I'm going to be fixing my lower control arm. As you can tell, I already started. I got way ahead of my game and way too excited, so apologies for that. But I didn't do much. So the only thing I did so far is remove the other lower control arm, which goes from here to here, and unbolt the sway bar link right here from this side. And that's it. It's actually really simple. So to take out the other lower control arm, it's actually pretty easy. There's one bolt that goes through it right there, and there's another two bolts that go right here, and here. So if you get those two out, all you have to do is pry this thing down, which actually you have to remove two bolts. So there's one here, one on this side, one on this side. And once you remove those two bolts, you'll be able to pry it down after you remove this bolt, of course, and then pry it down, and then just pry the lower control arm down. You can hammer it, that's what I did. And then you have to make sure you have these two bolts out though first, and then it'll come right out. So the next part is to remove this nut right here, right there, that nut right there. So I got it out, but I just put it there because I'm using it as protection for hammering that nut out, or the bolt, excuse me. So I put it there because what I'm doing at this moment is hammering at it to get the whole bolt to come loose, but I'm currently having trouble. So what I'm actually gonna do, here you can see the other side of the bolt, right? That's where it enters. So it's actually like rusted in there really bad. So what I'm doing is slowly cutting it through the middle here with a Sawzall. And eventually, you know, once I cut through it, it should be able to come out. So here's the new part, right? So this is exactly what I showed you just now. The bolt sits in there like that, and I think because the inside of this is metal right there, I think it rusted together, so that's why it's being a pain. So my first I'm gonna try to take the Sawzall to it. If that's not working, I'm gonna try to torch the bolt, maybe some heat, it'll expand it, loosen the rust a little bit, and then hammer it out. We'll see. So alright guys, it's day 3. I'm trying to get that bolt out. So here's where I'm at right now. Last time I showed you, this bolt was still on at the lower ball joint, right there. So I got that out. That's actually pretty easy. You just have to loosen the castle nut, or take it off completely, I guess. And then what I did was jack up. I used the jack to lift up the wheel, and then you can just use a hammer to pound the lower control arm down, and that worked for me, so not too bad. So here's the one that's actually giving me a lot of trouble. So that bolt is literally seized inside of that metal bushing inside of there. So I've used a Sawzall to try to cut it. That didn't work out too well. It just seems like there's really no progress. I've pounded it with a hammer multiple times. I've put a bunch of penetrating oil, lubricant on there from day to day, and my next step is just to use honestly I think I'm just gonna get like an angle grinder and just cut through it in the middle. Probably just gonna cut this off, and then just to be able to rotate the whole thing, and then just cut it right in the middle. Cut that whole thing right off, because at this point there's really no other option. I mean, that thing is stuck in there, man. So far that's the progress. Really not too bad of a job, except for that bolt. I mean, that thing is a pain. Never had so much trouble with a bolt. If you can see, I cut off the old one right there. So at this point I'm at the point of no return. It has to be fixed, and if you can see, I'm trying to just cut that thing off in half with the angle grinder, and then hopefully I should be able to remove it. smells like burning rubber. Alrighty, y'all, I'm just putting back together the last few bolts, so that's good news from here. So as you can see from my previous clips, I chopped off these fuckers, so that was what's currently here. So, you know, it was sitting like something like that. As you can see, I cut that off and then I cut it in half, and I just kept cutting and cutting. Huge pain in the ass. Don't recommend trying this at home unless you're ready for a battle, but it is doable though. So it's just a big, like I said, a big pain in the ass. I mean, totally doable though. You know, if you can not drive your car for a couple days and you've got some time to kill, like for me, now's a good time. I'm working from home, I don't need my car for anything critical, so I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna go for it, and I was able to do it. Took me a bit. Actually, it took me way longer than I wanted it to take, but I mean, it's done almost. Just gotta put all this rest of this crap back together. I mean, the biggest part was this. That's the biggest pain. The rest of it's not that bad. That bolt, these two, get this sway bar link out, and then this other little control arm, which is one bolt here, two bolts here. Not that bad. You guys got it. So these are the two ones holding this cross member thing in place. This is the lower control arm that's holding it. These are the other two I need to tighten. This is the one I had to get out for the lower ball joint. Now this is the one I'm tightening right now. I think the torque spec on these bolts is like 135, which makes sense because this is what holds your wheel in place. So look at it, she's back on the ground. I put her back together. It's actually gonna be this side. Shit. Yeah, back on the ground. So I didn't film the last part of putting it back together, but it was pretty straightforward. So once you take out that back, the bolt in the back for the old control arm, I mean, the rest is pretty smooth. You just have to assemble it, and as easy as that sounds, you know, it can be a pain sometimes, but it's truly simple once you have all the pieces already out and just there. So get the new part in there. Yeah, this effort was a big pain, but yeah, like I said before, I mean, if you have the right tools and the patience, it's totally doable. So if you do attempt this at home, you know, good luck, and stay tuned for my next video. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to. All right, take care, guys.